I used to like this jacket
It's an okay jacket.
when I was 18.
Did you go through a greaser phase?
I always thought leather jackets were cool.
Have you seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Mm-hmm.
You look more like Shia LaBeouf in that than you do Indiana Jones right
It's
now.
a shy surprise.
Oh. So you meant to pay homage to the worst movie in the series instead of dressing like Indiana Jones?
Second worst.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Hello everybody, welcome again to Keystone Film Review. We just saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Ooh.
Wow.
Directed by James Mangold. Written by Jez Butterworth, John Henry Butterworth, ooh, brothers. David Coep, James Mangold, George Lucas, and Phil Kaufman, starring, of course, Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridges, Antonio Banderas, other people who are spoilers. Toby Jones is in there, Boyd Holbrook, Oliver Richards, and Ethan Isidore, and of course, Mads Mikkelsen. How could I forget Mads Mikkelsen? This, of course, is the fifth movie in the Indiana Jones franchise. It's the second one since that god-awful Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was an abomination.
Movie I ever watched of Indiana Jones.
Forgive him. He's white trash.
I'm uncultured swine.
He's uncultured swine. But yeah, this, it's never going to live up to the original trilogy. I don't know why people keep asking for Indiana Jones movies. The CGI era is not a good fit for Indiana Jones movies.
Very much not.
And no one else but Harrison Ford could ever be Indiana Jones. I don't care who they get. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen. And
whether it's Chris Pratt or Tom Holland,
none of them.
None
of them. Tom Holland proved to us that he couldn't be Indiana Jones in Uncharted.
He couldn't even be Nathan's
or dare I say, Uncharted. No, but so this, of course, it's going to make a lot of people angry. It's going to please a lot of people who are
don't care as much.
It is what it is. We live in a world where people think that all we want to see are sequels. Yes, I guess technically the money proves that that's the case. But how about we get some originals that aren't made for $200 million and you'll make your money back on originals instead of...
I think a nice thing is we're getting there to remake, reboot, sequel fatigue. We're getting there. It's not, well...
Smart people are, but the masses are not smart.
Yeah.
The masses just want the same thing over and over and over and over and over again with little to no change. But that aside, this movie. Glenn!
Yes.
You just said something that I highly disagree with.
That this was
worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Again, I haven't seen that one since it released. I haven't seen that since it's released. That was 2008. Before I became a film swine.
I will just say he's fucking wrong with that.
Know.
He's completely wrong.
This was 2.5 hours of me not caring, for the most part.
That's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for everyone.
I at least had more fun with that one. This one I didn't have more fun with. I have to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since 2008. But this one was... I even leaned to you at a certain point. It's 2.5 hours of... It's pretty much... I wouldn't say nonstop action, but it takes a beat for a second and then gets back into the action.
There wasn't still time for like an hour.
It brings exposition in points where... Just take a breather, dude.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just talk to each other. That was the charm of Indiana Jones for the most part, is they sat there, they talked about some shit, about what they're going down and looking for, and then they got into some cool action sequences. This wasn't talking in the middle of the action sequences like it was just a thing. I mean, they did a little bit of that in the other ones too, but it was not as crazy. They just kept going back and forth with the action sequences, and it was rough for me. Because I'm a baby boy. You can't whiplash me like this. My head is already flat enough in the back. I don't need to be dropped on my head again with all this craziness. I don't know. There was only like a few characters that I actually cared about, and one of them wasn't even one of the major ones. There was a lot of arguing back and forth, and it was just a whole lot. It didn't make me enjoy the movie for the most part. I liked Harrison because obviously he's reprising his big role that he loves more than anything. Way more than Han Solo could ever even touch. But knowing that this was going to be his last little hurrah as Indiana Jones, it flopped hard for me because it just didn't feel like it was a good last hurrah. At least he got to do it. But it was, in my opinion, as long as he had fun, I guess, what the fuck do I matter?
Yeah. So the thing that I like most about this movie is the biggest theme of it is how people like Indiana Jones, like there was a shift in human history in which people stopped caring about history and started caring about the future. And that was when the moon landing happened, or around that time. And that's kind of where this movie starts. I mean, it doesn't. There's a 30-minute flashback to 1945, but it's
just to set up some
characters, which was plot. Needed, but not nearly as long as it was. And so I like that theme of, the world left people like Indiana Jones behind, wanted to focus on the future, because that did happen at some point. Is people stopped caring about what happened in Egypt way back when, what happened in Sicily way back when. We need to get to Mars, motherfucker, or the moon. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I liked the character development. They didn't completely ignore Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was kind of promised in a way. They said that they were going to just ignore it completely, but they didn't. There's some information in there that... Tidbits. Nothing that would spoil this movie. But there is hey, this happened and that happened and blah, blah, blah. It has a nice character arc for Indiana Jones. While I liked Phoebe Waller-Bridges' character, I did not like her interactions with Indiana Jones.
Yeah, their dynamic was just...
Their dynamic was annoying, but didn't change until the last 5-10 minutes. There was no smooth arc into them being friendly with each other. It was just
lot of
bicker. Oh, I care about you. And the caring was always on Indiana Jones' part. It was mainly for Phoebe Waller-Bridges' part, that she was I don't, I'm just in it for the money, blah, 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 blah. But, this has a lot more positives than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I remember very well.
Yeah.
I remember how angry it made me, and, no offense, I'm going to take the advice or opinion of a man who grew up loving Indiana Jones and someone who their first movie was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Just saying.
And I still haven't finished the original trilogy.
He has not. He hasn't even seen Last Crusade at all. You haven't seen all of Temple of Doom, have you?
I'm halfway through it.
Yeah. So, take what he says knowing that. I loved Mads Mikkelsen's character. However, it is kind of becoming tired, and this was a problem with the Last Crusade, which I do like, but the problem with the Last Crusade is they went back to, Nazis want something, they're going to get it. This does the same thing. Nazis want something, they're trying to get it, which is fine, but it's kind of repetitive and boring. I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the name, either that or they were Russian.
I feel like they were German.
Whatever, they were white fascists.
Europeans.
Yes. Well,
sort of.
Russians are also Asians, technically speaking.
Oh.
But yeah, this was the biggest problem for me with this is that there's two big problems. Like he said, it's all action sequences for the most part. The CGI in the first 30 minutes in the flashback was awful. It looked like a video game a lot. And after the flashback, it went to mostly practical effects. There was still bad green screen and everything, but that's in the original trilogy. So there's that, and then the length. So and the length is mostly because of all the action sequences. It gave me a headache how many action sequences there were. It's just like you said, left bam, 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 giving you whiplash. And it would have been nice to build the bond between Indiana Jones and Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, because they have history that you find out in the film. So it's just kind of like it tried to be something, but then also was forced by someone, I don't know who it was, to focus on action that will bring in the masses. And, yes, sure, sell tickets and everything, but make a good movie.
I feel like it's just the wrong movie for all that action. Yes,
Yeah.
action, of course.
Yeah.
You can't really have Indiana Jones without some crazy cool sequences. But at the same time, dull it down a little bit.
Parts of it reminded me of Fast X. Mainly because they were in Italy, which the beginning of Fast X happens in Italy. Different parts of Italy, but Italy nonetheless. So it was just kind of, it's just...
Make them count more.
Yeah.
Like, a big thing is, like, with a lot of, from what, again, I didn't finish the third or second, and I didn't even touch the third. I remember parts, but I'd never fully touched the third. The sequences in those movies mattered. The intros in all those movies were, 15 minutes? And they meant something. They were really cool. This was just boom, bang, bomb, boom, bomb, boom.
Yeah.
It hurt.
It did hurt.
It did hurt.
I would have liked to see more of Toby Jones's character. It's kind of hinted in the trailer that he's no longer around. And it would have been nice to see his bond with Indiana Jones, which would have then strengthened the bond between him and Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, who is Toby Jones's daughter in the movie. So it's just, it focused on the wrong parts. It had some fun moments, some fun set pieces. But ultimately, I think it's too long, focuses on action too much and not enough. And then it also, it does something similar. I'm going to say this without spoiling too much. It goes the same direction that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull went, in a way that just is the main reason I hated Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I'm not going to say anything more than that.
You're talking about what I think you're talking about?
Yeah.
And with the skull one?
Yes.
Yeah. That I didn't like.
Yeah. It just became, I don't know. It just became stupid at a certain point, much like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where it just wasn't fun anymore, and then it continued on for another 30 minutes. And I just really, at that point, wanted to be over. But I did enjoy it, I am assuming, more than him. It's definitely better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think you need to rewatch that.
I'm going to rewatch it. I'm going to watch the whole trilogy and
Yeah.
Crystal Skull regardless.
There's a reason that South Park made an episode where they kept having dreams that George Lucas was R-wording Indiana Jones. Just saying. That's how bad it is for people who actually grew up like Indiana Jones. It is an abomination how bad it is.
Guilty pleasure, I guess.
I mean, if you like it as a guilty pleasure, that's fine.
Then again, I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But yeah, that's really all I gotta say. Disappointing.
Yes.
Because I actually did have some hope for this. I didn't think it was going to be as good as the original trilogy. Because we're well past that. I love Harrison Ford, but he's in his 80s. There's no way he was going to capture the glory of 1980s Harrison Ford.
There was one thing you did mention about the intro to it. Felt like a video game cutscene. I mean, at this point, it feels like it would be really cool to have an Indiana Jones game itself, if they were going to continue in any sort of way.
I'd prefer a game than a movie.
I would love a game for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I think they were supposed to be working on one before, and then it got canned.
Yeah.
But his whole criteria and everything, it doesn't have to be like Uncharted, where it's just kind of crazy and Nathan Drake's going bonkers with his luck. But
Yeah.
it'd be a very, very cool thing to like just go and solve little archaeology shit, and then punch a Nazi in the fucking face.
Yeah. Do a mixture of Uncharted and like Heavy Rain, where like, yes, it's kind of like a movie. I like Heavy Rain, but it is like a movie.
Yeah.
But add story.
I was gonna say, get Hideo Kojima to do it. He loves story shit. That fucking game will be 12 fucking days long. And Moss Mikkelsen will be in it again, so that'd be cool.
Who's that? That's the guy who did Heavy Rain?
Metal Gear Solid.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a gamer.
Enough about that.
Yes, ratings-wise, I'm going to give this... Oh, I got to see what I gave The Flash and Transformers, because I'm definitely not rating lower than those.
I don't want to be generous. The most generous I'll be is saying 2.5. I feel like a 2.
So I gave Transformers a 2. I gave The Flash a 2.5. So I'm going to give this a 3. A lot of it, like I would say, it's half a star for nostalgia's sake. So there's that, and it definitely was better than those two movies in my opinion. So yeah, that's what we got to say. If you saw Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, not the Destiny Dial, tell us what you thought down in the comments. Is it worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? If you say
Yes.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong, and your opinion is valid, but is also wrong.
He's only saying that because of what I'm half the podcast and everything.
Yes, he's wrong in that.
I'm
and
totally
I
wrong.
think he does not remember Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at all.
Yeah.
So yes, let us know all those things down below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.
See you!